ಟಿ.ಎಂ. ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಒಂದು ಮ್ಯೂಸಿಷಿಯನ್ ಅಥವಾ ಒಂದು ವೋಕಲಿಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಇಟ್ all of you will agree it does not do justice to his multi-dimensional talent and personality. So ಈ ಒಂದು ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಬರಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ನನಗೆ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಬಂದ್ಕೊಂಡೆ ಒಪ್ಕೊಂಡೆ ನಾನು, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಅ ಗ್ರೇಟ್ ಮೂಮೆಂಟ್. And I kept thinking ಇವ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ how to, because he says I am not a performer ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಬರ್ದಿದ್ದಾರೆ. So how do you classify him? You know, because it's easy to say he's a musician, he's a thinker, he's a writer, hage ella. So I looked up ಯಾವ ಒಂದು ಕ್ಯಾಟಗರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಸ್ಲಾಟ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. And what I have come up with, I don't know if ಟಿ.ಎಂ. Krishna will agree, we'll have an interesting response and maybe we can discuss it later. You see, there is a tradition, maybe it was there in this country, it is there in this country even now. That is a tradition of a public intellectual. And with whatever ability I have at my command, I want to propose and submit for the consideration of this elite audience that I think ಟಿ.ಎಂ. Krishna represents all that the concept of a public individual can convey. Public intellectual, sorry. Now, intellectual we all understand, ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಬುದ್ಧಿಜೀವಿಗಳು ಹಾಗೆ ಹೀಗೆ ಅಂತೆಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಸಾಮೂಹಿಕ, ಸಾರ್ವಜನಿಕ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ, ಸಾರ್ವಜನಿಕ ಬುದ್ಧಿಜೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಬಟ್ ಲೆಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ವಾಟ್, ಅಂಡ್ ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ನೋ ಟೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಬುಕ್ ಡೆಫಿನೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಅ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಇಂಟೆಲೆಕ್ಚುಯಲ್. ಸೊ ನಾವು ಹುಡುಕ್ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. Others have written about it. Number of people have written about it. So I read a few of these things in the last 1 or 2 weeks, and the writings of one person appeal to me most, because you know it's like ಎರಡು ಮೂರು ಡೆಫಿನೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ, ಯಾವ್ದು ನಿಮಗೆ ಅನುಕೂಲ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಥವಾ ಸರಿ ಅನಿಸುತ್ತೆ. There is a physics professor at MIT called Alan Lightman. Alan Lightman wrote some years ago about the role of the public intellectual. Adala ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, his starting point, and I'll share what he proposes and how, in my humble view, ಟಿ.ಎಂ. Krishna would fit there. He says that public intellectual thing is not something recent. He says that way back in 1837, Ralph Waldo Emerson had written about the equivalent of a public intellectual. He says that he was a single person or one person. That is, in terms of his calling, he might have been a doctor, an accountant, scientist, a musician, whatever. But his thought and thinking and reflection went beyond that particular professional calling. The oneness of the human existence was something that that particular individual came to reflect upon and accept. That is the one person kind of vision of the public intellectual propounded in 1837 by Ralph Waldo Emerson, which Alan Lightman refers to. Then he says more recently, in the 20th century, you might all have heard of, I don't know how to describe him, political journalist, researcher, scholar, journalist, and so on, Edward Said. Now, he gives a political thing to this whole concept of a public intellectual and says that the public intellectual should also reflect on issues not just of concern to him, but to humanity at large. That is, ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಇದು ನಿನಗೆ ಬಾದರ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರೆ ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ನೀನು ಬರೆದು ಹೇಳಿ ಮಾತನಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಸಾಲದು, but it has to have a bearing on humanity at large, society at large, and so on. So it's a slightly extended thing of that one man kind of notion that Emerson had. Emerson also brings in other things, and one of the things which Alan Lightman refers to particularly appealed to me, and which is, I just quoted the public intellectual does all this, and of course there are other attributes also, that they should not just be thinkers and reflectors and writers, they should also be action oriented ಅಂತ. ಅದು TM ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಅನ್ವಯಿಸುತ್ತದೆ, ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ ಆಮೇಲೆ. The other thing he says is that the public intellectual does all these things, writing, publishing, talking about it and all that, not out of obligations to his society, but out of obligation to himself, which I think is a very, very profound thing. See, very often when, in the case of T.M. Krishna, he's been no stranger to controversies, and we have, who have followed his intellectual output, we are not strangers to the controversy raised by some or many of his writings. And very often the bottom line of much of this criticism is, ಇವರಿಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು, ಯಾಕೆ ಹಿಂಗೆಲ್ಲ ಬರೀತಾರೆ, ಬರೀ ಇದ ಹಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಸಾಲದೆ. Now the point that Alan Lightman makes is, they are doing this not because society, which includes the Rasika, which includes laypersons, which includes the ordinary readers of the Hindu and anybody else. He or she doesn't do this out of an obligation to these people. They do it out of an inborn obligation to themselves, as they see. Now, I think, for all these reasons, I think, in my view, T.M. Krishna would fit this category, if we can define it, of public intellectual. Alan Lightman goes on to again say, in current context, there are three levels of public intellectuals. One, they are subject matter specialists. They may be musicians, they may be physics professors, botany professors, economists, and so on. They publish a lot in their selected field. We have many, in Mysore itself, we are a university town, university city. Bangalore, India, all over the world there are. So level 1 public intellectual is a subject matter specialist who publishes a lot about this subject and so on. Level 2, according to Alan Lightman, is when the subject matter specialist goes a little beyond the subject that he specializes or she specializes in, and says, what is the impact of this on the rest of the specialization, the rest of society also. So it's a little extension of your specialization. You are at least aware. You may be an economist, but you try to present this not just in terms of monetary policy or fiscal policy, but in terms of what is inflation, how does the housewife prepare the budget. There are a lot of popular writers who have both in science and in the arts and in music and so on, little more knowledge. This is level 2, according to Lightman. According to him, level 3 is when people in level 1, 2 and so on have achieved a status, when they become stars, when they become icons, then they become public intellectuals by invitation. People invite them and say, and he points out how, even in the case of Einstein, once he shot into prominence with this relativity theory and was loosely associated with the atom bomb, all that kind of thing. Then people started asking him. So all of us have read quotes of Einstein about Gandhiji and things like that. I mean, Einstein was no expert on political struggles or, satyagraha or anything like that. But, because as a public intellectual, he was asked to comment on it, yes, and many of his quotes are on God, on religion, on education, and so on, are worth recalling. So, according to Lightman, the third category is people who have achieved stardom. And so of course, he says, level 1, level 2, level 3 are fungible. It's difficult to draw a watertight line. Before I conclude on Mr. Krishna, and I talk a little bit about the book, I want to propose for your consideration again that I think if there is a level 4 beyond these 3 levels, I think I would like to imagine that T.M. Krishna belongs to that level 4, which is that he doesn't have to be invited. He is not asked to write to the Hindu or attend the India Today conclave or anything like that because he has achieved a star status as a musician. That star status may be there, but that's not what. He feels impelled to write. So probably beyond the 3 categories listed by Alan Lightman, there is a 4th category that people like T.M. Krishna belong to. They have their specialization. Their calling is music, but a lot of other things also call them. And I want to, the book that's a translation of his writings covers a lot of his writings, particularly in the field of music. But as all of you know, Krishna doesn't write only about music, he writes about a lot of other stuff. So, in all this, it's not that by invitation somebody has asked him, he is doing this out of. So, time was there, I would have liked to talk a little about his other writings, but I'll mention that. So it's a great initiative of Venugopal and Shailaja and Ragamala that they thought it fit that the writings of somebody like Krishna on music, musicians, on rasikatva, on listenership, and all related things. They thought it fit from the Hindu, from Shruti and so on, and they've done a marvelous job of putting it together, translating it very well, so that the nuances in translation are not lost, and if anything, they are embellished. I read particularly the piece on Kiran Kishore Amankar. It reads equally powerful in Kannada as it does in, which can only happen that if you are in love with the topic that the writer has written about and you are in love and in command of the language that you have written. But I think we owe it to T.M. Krishna and people like him that this tradition of public intellectualism or the space for public intellectuals in this country should greatly increase and grow and flourish. Krishna wrote in April 2013 that, it's again a piece from the Hindu, that India deserves, something more than Narendra Modi and Rahul Gandhi. Just 2 weeks ago, The Economist writes, India deserves better than Narendra Modi. Look at him, see. He is not a journalist. And April 2013 is a full year ago. Before this whole, election battle was joined, it was converted into a thing. Now, this is what I mean. Today, all of us who are seeing, saturated advertising campaigns with the TV, the press things, and so on, we feel how little of issue-based discussions are happening in this thing. And Krishna has written about this in April 2013. So I think that my appeal to Venugopal and Shailaja and like-minded friends in Mysore, is Mysore is in a unique position to foster this kind of public intellectuals. See, today in India, I mean, particularly after 1991, the economy was thrown open and so on. I think we have, I mean, Krishna again has written about it, so I'm not conveying anything new to him in any case. You see, we seem to have, and in fact, that's probably why, somebody like Narendra Modi is getting such, resounding endorsement. I don't want to get into the, party politics part of it. All that I'm saying is there are a lot of issues confronting this country which need to be discussed in the public intellectual space, and that's being shut out. Today, an election seems to be happening by default, an outcome seems to be predestined by default, and so on. And that cannot happen in a country where we have over 1 billion voters and 200 million young voters. At least these young people must be drawn into this public intellectual space.